today. I hope you are fine. Let's begin together science for the second term, our first unit called friction. Let's take together the first lesson, which called friction force. At first, what does it mean by friction force? Friction force means it's the force that exists between two surfaces when they touch each other, and its effect is in the opposite direction of the movement. So, friction force is the force that exists between two surfaces, like your two hands, when they touch each other, and this force, its effect is in the opposite direction of the movement. So, it's the force that slows down the motion of an object. Okay? For example, we have examples of friction force. Number 1, when you rub hands together to feel warm. Why we feel warm? Because there is a friction force between your two hands. Try to move your hands and rub it together, you will feel warm. Number 2, there is a friction force between your shoes and the ground when you walk along. Another example, when you go down the slide, there is a friction force between your body and the slide. Number 4, when a car moves along the road, there is a friction force between the wheel and the road. Okay? Number 5, when riding a bike, there is a friction force between the tires of the bike and the road. Then we are going to take the types of friction. We have 3 types of friction. Number 1, friction between solids. Number 2, friction between bodies and air. Number 3, friction between bodies and water. Let's explain each one of them. Number 1, friction between solids. Friction force arises when two solid objects touch each other. For example, a bike. When the tire of the bike touches the ground, the friction force arises. The friction force acts in the opposite direction of the movement. So, when you lift your feet from the pedal during the motion of the bike, the friction increases. So, the speed of the bike slows down until it stops. Okay? Notice that the object moves with a constant speed when the pushing force or motion force equals the friction force. So we have two forces, okay? We have motion force and friction force. If the two forces are equal, so the speed of movement of the object will be constant, okay? Number 2, if the friction force is bigger than the motion force, the object doesn't move. Number 3, if the friction force is less than the motion force, the object moves. Okay? The second type of friction is friction force between solid and air, which called air resistance. So the second type called air resistance. This air resistance has effect in the opposite direction of movement. So what's the meaning of air resistance? Air resistance is the friction force resulting from the movement of a solid object through the air. For example, when you run in the open air, there is an air resistance effect in your body. Okay? Number 2, another example, when you ride a bike with a high speed. Number 3, moving a car or a black line in the atmosphere. There is a factors that affect air resistance. We have 2 factors. the speed of an object. This factor affects on a resistance. So when the speed of the objects that move through the air increases, so when the speed increases, the air resistance increases and vice versa. Okay? The second one, the surface area of a moving object. By increasing the surface area of the moving object, the air resistance increases and vice versa. Okay? While application on air resistance, we can see that the pointer ends of rockets, trains, and aircraft are designed in a streamlined shape. Why? Why they are designed in a streamlined shape? To decrease surface area, so the air resistance decreases and the speed increases. Number 2. A parachutist opens his parachute during landing. Why? Why he opened his parachute during landing? Excellent. To increase the air resistance by increasing the surface area. If we increase the surface area, so the speed decreases and he lands safely. Okay? Number 3. The birds stretch their wings during landing. Why they stretch their wings? To increase surface area, so the air resistance increases, causing their speed to decrease. Okay? The third type of friction is friction force. Friction force between solid and water, which called water resistance. Water resistance, okay? As air resistance, this water resistance is affected in the opposite direction of movement. Water resistance means it's the friction force resulting the movement of an object through water. Okay? Let's see together the factors that affect water resistance. Number 8. The speed of an object. The speed of an object. When the speed of the object that moves through water increases, the water resistance increases and vice versa. Number B. The surface area of a moving object. By increasing the surface area of the moving object, the water resistance increases and vice versa. Line application of water resistance. Where can we find or can we see application of water resistance? Number 1. Fish have a streamline shape, and ships, boats are designed with a streamline shape. Why? Why they have this shape? To decrease the surface area, so the water resistance decreases. Okay? That's all for our lesson. See you soon in another lesson. Study well and be safe. Bye.